Shall I continue my class?
Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Yeah, it's up to you, ma'am.
Yeah. So coming back to our class. So this is module 3, Amma. You have container data types. So in container data types, you know what are the set, all the container data types you know: list, set, then you have tuple and dictionary. Okay. So before going to this container data types, are you able to see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I just want to elaborate on what is an array. Actually, it is not in your syllabus, but I just want you to know the difference between an array and a list. So an array is always it is an object which stores a group of elements. But the basic criterion for an array is those group of elements, they should always belong to the same data type. Okay, so an array can hold set of integers, set of floats, similarly set of characters. So if it is holding set of integers, it is an integer array. If it is holding set of float, it is a float array. And if it is holding a set of characters, it is a character array. When compared to other programming languages, in Python, you can increase or decrease the arrays dynamically. Dynamically means the memory allocation will be done at the runtime. That means during the execution, the memory will be allocated. So because of this provision, what you can always allocate the size of your array at the during the runtime. So if you, whenever you want to allocate an array during static, that means during the compile time, that means if you allocate the array to be of size 100, then you have to accommodate for an integer. Each integer on a typical compiler is going to occupy 2 bytes of memory. So it will be 100 into 2, 200 bytes should be accommodated for that array. Whereas in a dynamic memory location, because you are allocating the memory during the runtime, depending upon the requirement, the size of your array can increase or decrease. So that because of this, you can utilize the memory very effectively and efficiently. So the arrays in Python can increase or decrease their size dynamically. So you need not declare the size of the array. So that is what here. So an array is an object that stores group of elements of same data type. Array can store only one type of data. It means we can store only integer type elements or only float type elements into an array, but we cannot store one integer, one float, one character. So you cannot store a mixed data type into an array. So this is the drawback of an array when compared to a list. So array can hold only a homogeneous data type. Arrays can increase or decrease their size dynamically. It means we need not declare the size of the array. When the elements are added, it will increase its size, and when the elements are removed, it will automatically decrease its size in memory. Okay, so that is an array. So because before knowing list, you should be able to know what is an array. So what are the advantages of an array? Arrays are similar to your list. The main difference is that arrays can store only one type of elements, whereas lists can store different types of elements. When dealing with a huge number of elements, arrays use less memory than lists, and they offer faster execution than lists. So whenever you are asked any question in Viva, what is the difference between an array and a list, you should be able to tell that these arrays are going to hold homogeneous data type, and these arrays, they consume less memory, and they have faster execution when compared to lists. The size of the array, it is not fixed in Python when compared to other high level programming languages where the arrays are declared at the compile time. In Python, the size of the array, it is always allocated during the runtime. Because of this, the size of the array can grow or shrink depending upon the requirement. Hence, we need not specify how many elements we are going to store into an array in the beginning. Okay, so arrays can grow or shrink in memory dynamically. Arrays are useful to handle a collection of elements like a group of numbers or characters or floats. Okay, so this is a precise way of describing an array. Okay, so whenever you are asked in your Viva, what is the difference between an array and a list? Array is going to hold homogeneous data type, whereas list will hold heterogeneous data types. Okay, and the size of the array is always declared in Python during the runtime. Because of this, arrays can grow or shrink their size depending upon the requirement. And one more thing is, these arrays, they are going to consume less memory and they have faster execution when compared to lists. Okay. So now coming back to our list. So you know a list is a data container. It is a container data type. So this list, it is similar to an array. It consists of a group of elements or items. Just like an array, a list can also store elements. But what is the major difference between an array and a list? A list can store different data types. So here there is an example, that is student. In this student is a list. A list is always represented with a set of square brackets. Please remember that. And a list is going to hold heterogeneous data type. Here, a student is declared as a list and it is going to hold an integer data type 556, then a string, that is a name, followed by integers. So it can hold both an integer and a string at a time. So we can create empty lists without any elements by simply writing empty square brackets. Okay. And the elements in a list, they are always separated by commas. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we'll be moving on to the next slide. So you know how to access the elements in a list. You know there are two types to access the elements in a list. This will be your question in your internal. So what are the different ways of accessing the elements in a list? There are two ways. One is positive indexing and the other one is negative indexing. Positive indexing, the index always starts from 0 and it will end till n minus 1. If the list size is n, so the index starts from 0 to n minus 1. In negative indexing, it will start from minus 1 till the size of the list. Okay. So in the same example, if we are going to take student, here is a list. Okay. Whenever you say student of 0, it is going to access the 0th element. Similarly, whenever you want to access student of 0 to 2, means 556, 0, 1 and 2. So here access will be done to only 0th to first element. Please remember that. This will be again your Viva question here. Whenever you say 0 to 2, only two elements will be accessed. That is your 0th element and first element. Okay. In the third case, whenever you are saying 2 colon, that means the second index till the end of the list will be displayed. Similarly, whenever you say student colon 3, that means from the beginning till the index number 3. That means the access will be starting to from starting element 0, 1 and 2. 3 elements will be displayed. Okay.
Ma'am, hello.
Ma'am.
Yeah. Hello, ma'am. Jalaja,
yeah.
ma'am.
Ma'am, can I leave?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
My class, ma'am, second hour.
Yeah, I know that, ma'am. Because you did not come, I thought I will take.
I will take, ma'am. I will take.
Okay, no problem. I'm leaving.
Okay.